Live from Berlin, Germany, you're watching uninterrupted coverage of Stage 4 of the Hyundai Archery World Cup 2017. Online and around the world via World Archery TV and the Olympic Channel, this is the last and the biggest World Cup stage of the year. More than 350 athletes from 50 countries began the qualification round at the start of the week. All of them with ambitions to go far in this tournament, and some of them looking to qualify for the grand finals in Rome in September. Today though, we're down to the best of the best. Every arrow, every victory, every medal of Recurve Finals Day. This is the 2017 Hyundai Archery World Cup in Berlin, Germany.
We are here at the Hyundai Archery World Cup Stage 4.
Good morning from the Lilly Hennock Sportsplatz here in Berlin. Lilly Hennock was a celebrated German athletics champion, winning 10 national championships in 4 different disciplines in the years before the Second World War. Echoes of the war can be seen everywhere around the city, including here. But all eyes are on the future today and the action that's about to unfold. My name is Stephen George and I'm your commentator today. All the archers you'll see shooting use the Recurve bow, which is the bow type that also features in the Olympic Games. Today in this morning's session we'll see the medal matches for the men's and women's teams. The women of the Russian Federation and Great Britain shoot for bronze in our first match of the morning in just a couple of minutes time. Then Korea and Mexico go head to head for the gold. After them the men's teams from Korea and Russia shoot for bronze, and then we have our final match of the morning, which is France versus the Netherlands. And with me in the commentary box with expert analysis and insight is Simon Fairweather, a 5-time Olympian and Olympic champion in Sydney in 2000. Good morning, Simon.
Thanks for having me.
So 4 matches to look forward to in the team events here today. Which one catches your eye?
I'm particularly looking forward to seeing France shoot against the Netherlands for the men's team final, the gold medal match. I had a lot to do with the French team when I was head coach of Australia, and have a good friendship with the coaches. And in the Netherlands team, at least one of the guys in the team, Chef Vandenberg, has been a long-time user of one of my archery products. So he's a great guy, and I'll be looking to see how he goes with his team.
Good stuff. We'll be looking forward to all of your insight over the coming couple of hours here as we get into our first match of the day. The Russian Federation, the world #1 team, take on Great Britain, who are ranked down in 22nd place. And here are the Russian team. And we'll say good morning to Tatiana Biltrikova, Natalia Erdinieva and Sayana Tsvitempilova, who are ranked #1 in the world, as we said, and are a formidable outfit, and the Great British team will have their work cut out to make a difference in this bronze medal match, the first one of the morning, as the British girls take to the field of play in their red, white and blue uniforms. And they're shooting on target #2 this morning. I'll introduce you to the 3 of them. 2 young archers and then 1 very experienced archer in the middle. Sarah Beckles waving to the crowd there in the middle. Naomi Folkard, 4 times Olympian, and then Bryony Pittman, aged just 20, who makes up the trio. Ranked 22 in the world, and their 43.9% match win average, lower than the Russian, Simon, so it's going to be a tough ask for the
You never know what's going to happen in one of these matches, do you? I mean, the thing that always strikes me too about them is when you see the stats, how many matches a lot of the Europeans have shot. You know, when you look at the Australians and how much competition practice they get, or New Zealand, or anyone who comes from a long distance, the difference is staggering. You know, we really feel like beginners at this format of competition because we just don't get enough, with all the travel, we just don't get enough opportunities. And
so that match play, that time,
it all
time
comes
on the shooting line.
Absolutely, it all comes down to that familiarity of being in this format. I mean, if you look at the field at the moment, you've got this huge grandstand around everybody, and the archers are right in the middle of it.
Biltrikova gets us underway with a 9.
Good start.
No practice arrows in these tournament conditions, you're straight onto the target.
A little bit of breeze out there today too, so you never really, where you stand in the field, you don't get to feel what's happening further down the range, so because of the grandstand. So that first shot is often really important to gauge what's happening, and then your teammates have got some idea about what's happening as well.
So 8, 9, 8 for the beginning for Russia, 25 points for them. Here's Great Britain's Naomi Folkard with the first arrow for the British team, and that's an 8 as well.
Good start.
Here's Sarah Bettles.
8.
Another 8 for her.
Nice start. Good
The
shot,
team's
Sarah.
finding their range a little bit just to start with, aren't
There
they?
must have been a little bit of difference
Good.
between this field and the practice field. Maybe in the humidity, like if the practice field's in a more vegetated area, the air might be a bit more humid from the transpiration of the trees, and have their sights adjusted for that. Come here where it's dry and the arrows go faster through the air and go higher on the target.
Yesterday, because of all the rain, the arrows were ending up a lot lower in the target than a lot of the archers were anticipating. We saw quite a lot of adjustments.
Yeah, rain can make a huge difference. At this distance, 70 metres, if it's really raining hard, the arrows could go as low as the black, just from the rain.
8.
справа. Близко,
So
справа.
8 there for Russia, taking them to 42.
3 good shots.
So the rules in this team competition very simple. All matches are decided by the set system. Each arrow has 6 sets. Each set has 6 arrows in it. Each archer shoots 2 arrows. The maximum you can score is 60 points. So Russia have 51 there. After each set, the scores are totaled up, and the team with the highest score takes the set. A set win is worth 2 points. A draw is worth 1. The first to reach 5 points wins
Yes,
the
great
match.
shot.
And the first 10 of the match from Naomi Folkard of Great Britain. So arrows in the gold here for
Smooth, strong shot.
GB are what's required if they're going to attempt to win or share this set with the Russian team.
Yes, good
There's
shot.
one of them, a 9.
Come on, Brian, in. Strong shot. Full confidence.
Sarah Bettles finding the gold for the first time. So Bryony Pittman, a 9 will tie the set. 10 will win it.
9 to tie the set, and it is a 9, 1-on-1.
Great shooting from the British girls there. It's just the
Fighting
first 3
there,
arrows a
great.
bit tentative, the second 3
I
much
have to
more
say,
secure.
pretty much all of them are all pretty matter of fact about how they've shot their arrows today.
Girls,
Like
from Great
nobody
Britain,
standing out with a bad
from
dose of the nerves or anything.
After
So
Russia was already in the lead.
to see if they can hold their nerve now.
Yeah, yesterday we found really the matches were decided by 1 or 2 rogue shots here or there, and that was all. There wasn't too
It
much.
often just takes that one slip of concentration or focus on your routine. I mean, the thing that really helps people manage their emotions through these matches is having a routine, a shot routine, and sticking to that really diligently.
I've heard it said that when you're shooting in an event like this at the finals, it's not the place for
Go to
experimentation.
the middle is now. Stick up
Not
for it.
deliberately anyway.
So you shot plenty of these. What's take us into the mind of the archer if you can? What are you trying to do when you step onto that shooting line? Clear your head.
I think the telling difference between a good match and a bad one is if you're going into the match with a clear idea of what you're going to do on the line. There's no good standing there and going, okay, what am I doing? You know, you need to have known what you're going to do right through the match before you step onto the field. And so that's where match practice helps, because you've gone through it a lot of times and it's familiar, and you can sort of hide within your routine. It's very hard to not be overwhelmed by the distractions if you don't have any clear idea about what you're going to do, and you just walk up there and say, okay, well, here I am, what am I going to do? You're lost straight away then, I think. So the more practice you have doing a very steady, methodical routine, the more you have a framework to perform from within.
Таня, хорошо.
Both these teams have plenty of air miles under their belts. If that's where you keep your air miles, I'm not sure. That's where I keep mine anyway. All tied up, 1 set point each at this stage.
Nice shot.
8
for Folkard of Great Britain.
What I'm looking for when I'm looking for a good shot from the archers is that the shot goes off with good timing, so they're not holding for too long and aiming for too long, where you start having negative thoughts or distractions. But also, the shot still needs to be quite what I call fresh. So the muscle tension is still good. When their fingers come off the string, you see them move completely and directly backwards. There's no little flick forwards or anything indicating they've lost their holding tension in their back. That was pretty smooth. So, you know, those shots you were talking about before where it comes down to that one shot that cost them the match, often they're the ones where the archer has lost that connection in their holding tension. So all that should happen when you shoot the arrow is the fingers stop holding the string. So the bow will go forward and your drawing arm will move backwards smoothly. And sometimes the brain gets confused and starts to relax the back tension first before the fingers, and that's diabolical.
9.
So all the archers in both teams here appearing very smooth so far.
Yeah, I haven't seen any terrible things happening here. Really, the only problem everybody seems to have had is their sight settings.
So 54 for the Russian Federation is their set score for the second set. So now it's down to Great Britain to find those arrows, keep on the pressure.
9.
Richard Priestman there, the Great British coach, very, very experienced archer, been around the block.
Yes, I remember shooting with Richard more than once, so I guess that means I've been around the block.
Yeah, if you checked his belt for air miles, there'd be plenty there.
Great shot. Well
Sure.
done.
9.
Sarah.
So a 9 will tie this set. A 10 will win it. And it's down to Bryony Pittman.
We need a 10 to win, and it's a 9.
It's a 9,
Again,
so
9-7.
that set's tied up. So you can see on the scoreboard there that it's 2 set points
Third set
each.
coming up. This is our
It's
set.
the first team to 5 set
Third
points
set.
takes the match, and if we're all tied up after 4 sets, then we will go into a shoot-off. So halfway here,
Good checking.
Simon, who's impressing you? Which of the archers have you like the word smooth, so who's the smoothest?
Certainly, Naomi Folkard is very methodical in the way she shoots, in terms of having the structure of her shot routine. Every arrow you watch her shoot, it's very much the same routine, same timing. But you know, everybody's shooting pretty nicely. So, and there's not really much in the way of wild arrows going down. I mean, everybody would like to perhaps be grouping a little bit tighter, a few more 10s, but there's not much on the, if you look at the scores, there's not much in the way of big mistakes. You know, you can get a score in 2 ways. You can get a nice even group with no mistakes, but not right in the center, or you can have a bunch of arrows in the center and then a wild shot that adds up to the same amount. And it's a lot safer to have the slightly bigger group without the wild shot, because it's the wild one that can swing the match at the wrong time.
9.
So it's a 9 for the first arrow of this third set for the Russian Federation, but right on the line there between 9 and 10. So if it's touching the line, then it'll be upgraded.
Right.
8.
Into the red for the first time in a while for
Just doesn't look like
Russia.
happy with it.
They've had a good look at each other now, these two teams, haven't they? And they probably know that it's going to be
It's who hits first.
a bit of a repair job there done by Surampilova with a 10. So here's Naomi Folkard, a 4-times Olympian, having a bit of a renaissance in her career with a silver medal in the World Games couple of weeks back, the highest ranked archer on the field this morning of 16.
7,
And I talked her up there and she landed a 7.
Jinxed.
So 2 10s really to keep pace. There's one of them. What a great shot. And 8 for Bryony Pittman.
Kleine berührt.
So 2-point advantage for Russia. And they'll see now whether they can make it count.
Молодец. 10.
Another lovely shot from Sirampilova. And here's Erinieva, the most experienced of the 3 Russian archers on the field this morning.
9.
Хорошо. 9 на 7.
I think if I was going to split hairs with the 2 teams at the moment, I would say that the Russians are shooting a little smoother. So it's one thing to have that nice aggressive follow through, but you see that release, softness about it as well, a smoothness, silkiness about it, which allows, you know, when it goes off very explosively, there's the possibility of a little bit of a bounce through your body, which can interrupt where the bow is aimed. The smoother it is and the softer it is. That was pretty smooth, and there you go.
That's better.
Yeah, probably the greatest purveyors of those smooth shots are the Koreans. If you watch them, it's so silky smooth, and that comes from years and years of lots and lots of arrows.
And we'll get a good look at the Koreans later on today.
8.
It's okay.
Plenty of Koreans in the action this afternoon, and they really are a nation that's dominating the
absolutely
scene, aren't they?
Yeah, since the mid-80s, they've just smashed everybody.
9.
And they have, you know, it's no wonder they have such a comprehensive program. It dwarfs any other country's program. You know, they take kids from school, lots of them, and put huge amounts of resources into many regional teams, and a very, very structured pathway program up to their top level.
So we have that set decided, and now the Russians go into a 4-2 lead against Great Britain. There we go, the judges using all their little gizmos to mark up the arrows. Unofficially, we have a 4-2 lead for Tatiana Bilchikova, Natalia Erinieva and Siana Tsvitsembilova of the Russian Federation, shooting on target 1 against their opponents. Great Britain on target 2, Sarah Bettles, Naomi Folkard and Bryony Pittman. And the 2 archers the other side of Folkard there, Bettles and Pittman, they've settled really well, I think, and they've looked pretty good, and no nerves. No,
I'd say they're all managing themselves pretty well. You know, as I was saying, the only thing I could pick was that their shots are perhaps not quite as smooth as some of the more experienced archers on the field here, but you know, that doesn't stop them shooting 10s when they need them, so this next end will be interesting.
Absolutely, they must win this set, the British team, if they are going to stay alive in this match, because it's the first to 5 points, and it's a point for a tied set, so a tie won't do. Naomi Folkard knows that. She's been in this situation many times before. And 8, not the greatest start, considering the stakes are so high.
Yeah, puts a bit more pressure on the other girls.
Yes.
Bettles one better with a 9.
Looks good out there.
Slight look of relief on her face as the sun comes out here for the first time in Berlin.
Nine.
Another nice 26.
Just below the 10.
She got that shot away with, you know, nice, strong, aggressive timing, which is something you can fail to do when you're under pressure.
Молодец.
Strong shot from
She
the
swung it in
Russians.
there a bit though.
Was that a late adjustment?
Yes, a lot of people do that where they see their sights just a little bit off to the side or above or whatever and swing the bow at the last moment. It's
Хорошо.
arguable about whether it actually does
Опусти.
anything because the arrow's halfway out
Там
of the bow
две
or halfway
стрелы
to the
были
target
снизу.
before they do it, but in their mind they're correcting the shot.
Таня, хорошо.
Number 9, Russia
Девять рядом,
motoring
близко
towards
на
a
4.
bronze medal here. Great Britain in a little bit of difficulty.
Great shot, Naomi.
10 with the last arrow of the match
Sarah.
for Naomi
Smooth
Folkard.
shot.
Good finish. Bettles has found the 10 once this morning, but that's a 9.
Full power, Brownie.
And now looking to Bryony Pittman, who went very well in the individual round earlier in the week. And a good weekend for the British women's team. 9 for her.
Still a bit low,
As the shot
Brownie.
clock ticked down into only 10 seconds remaining. 54 points for Great Britain. But Russia now in a commanding position to take this match.
Молодец.
There's one of them.
Молодец.
And another 10 for the Russians. Only 6 to win.
Молодец.
And there it is, it's a 9, and our first medal of the day goes to the Russian Federation. They took the bronze medal in Antalya in June, and they bagged another here this morning. The British team have had a fantastic week, but against the #1 team in the world at the moment, they didn't have enough today. Disappointment for the Brits, but a great victory for Tatiana Biltrikova, Natalia Erdenieva, and Sayana Trisapilova of the Russian Federation. And Simon, that's our first of the 4 matches this morning, and your reflections on that victory for the
I
Russians.
think they'd be feeling pretty satisfied with that showing. Particularly towards the end of the match, their shooting was exemplary, really nice and steady, good timing, keeping their bodies and heads still through the shot. They looked composed. They deserved that.
So after the handshakes and the congratulations between the teams, which is good to see because it's all these matches always played in the greatest of respect. Let's look at some of those fantastic slow motion images of this match.
It's always amazing to see how much the bows flap about in slow motion. You know, bits that you couldn't bend with your hands, but you shoot an arrow through the bow and they're flapping around like sails.
The Russians very happy with their week's work, justifiably so. If you're enjoying the archery here this morning, you're watching online, do get involved on social media. @World Archery is our Twitter handle, and hashtag WC Berlin to join in the conversation. Do send us a tweet. And the field's being reset right now, and very shortly we'll be on to the gold and silver medal match in the women's team competition. Lovely to see so many people here in the crowd. And so here we go, the bronze has been decided and the field of play is reset. So our next match is coming up, really interesting because the #1 team here this week, the Koreans, are up against a very experienced Mexico outfit who knocked out the home side Germany in the quarterfinals on the way here. And Simon, we were referring to the Koreans earlier on, but so it's our first look at some pretty special archers.
Korea is quite astounding with the number of top shooters they have. So, you know, they're probably more notable about the number of people who could perform well here but don't make the team. You know, they've got people who get rejected from their team selection that pretty much any other country would like as their top shooters.
So there we go. Kang Cha-young there, the final of the 3 Korean archers to take the applause of the crowd. Choi Mi-sun, the reigning Olympic champion in the individual and team events, and Chang Haijing.
So
also, and then here come the Mexican team, slightly flashier entrants in their bright print uniforms.
So it'll be important for the Mexicans to get off on a good start, because the Koreans do have a tendency to struggle when they put under pressure. But if you give them just like a whiff of a wing, their shooting kicks into another gear and you never catch them.
Interesting, isn't it? Because Avitia, Roman and Valencia know each other well. They've shot together a lot. They're a settled team, actually. The strength and depth of the Koreans actually means that their team chops and changes a little bit. So whether that affects them or not, you don't know, because the quality's so high. But
well, I think there's a lot of pressure too on the Koreans from within their own country. So you know, we think of how much pressure there is at the event, but they've also got extra pressure from the fact that this is perhaps their one chance at being on the team, because there's so many others trying to get into it that it's like a now or never kind of thing. And often such a long road to get to the team as well. You know, they've been training since they were, you know, little kids at school. So here they are, and you know, it's now or never.
Very much, and another gold medal at stake for Korea. They're accustomed to the golds, but it's a tough match ahead. You've seen how it goes. First team to 5 set points wins the match. And it will be Korea to get us underway on target number 1. Begin with a 9.
중심 잡고 길게 들어와. 중심 잡고 길게 끝까지.
Determined look, but a slightly loose one.
Cada flecha diferente, ¿eh? Cada.
This is Chang Haijin. And 8 for her.
It's been interesting lately. Korea's been sending some of their perhaps most credentialed teams ever in the last year or so, if you look at the lineup of the team. And they've had some uncharacteristic mistakes in the last few events.
Muy bien.
So Valencia gets the Mexican team underway. They'll be very focused, won't they? And they're about to host the World Championships in their own country.
There's nothing like having an event in your own country to really kick things along.
10.
10 there for Mariana Avitia. So very solid start for the Mexicans, and here's Aida Roman, a silver medalist at London 2012 in the Olympics. Been there, done that. She's got the World Championship t-shirt on because she did this all morning. And a 9 for her. A strong start from Mexico.
Well, that's the kind of start you'd normally expect from Korea. So Korea under the pump a bit.
So here's Choi Mi-sun. Finds the tech, first one of the match for the People's Republic of Korea.
중심 잡고 길게 들어가. 끝까지.
And another 10.
Right next to it.
Is it sometimes harder with your rhythm when you're shooting in the team that you have to shoot and then you have to go back to the line and wait quite a while for your next arrow?
Yes.
Tough to find your rhythm, maybe.
Certainly, yeah. Which was where that shot routine was so important. So, you know, if you're shooting a bunch of arrows in one go, you know, the first one might be okay, but the next one's a bit better because it's following on from the last one and you get that rhythm, as you were saying. This can really interrupt that.
Bien, bien.
Alejandra Valencia, 2 9s for her in the match so far.
You've got to step up to the
9.8.
line and get settled, put your feet in the right place, you know, get comfortable, and then shoot one arrow, and then
Tranquilo.
you're having to move
Poco
again.
viento.
Good shot.
Avitia with a
Poquito
7.
viento, poquito. Bien, Aida. Vamos.
So a 10 will win the set.
Ahí apuntó. Está bien.
20 seconds remaining on the shot clock
No
for
pasa nada
Aida
viento,
Roman.
¿eh? Hasta soltada. Apunta hasta soltada.
7.
A 7 from her.
I
I didn't expect that actually. I might have seen a 9. That maybe there's
Apuntó.
a little furrowed brow there on the face of the Mexican team. What do you put that down to, Simon? Was there?
You wouldn't have thought from the look of the shot that it would have gone right. I'm just looking up the side of the tent to see what the trees are showing us with the wind. There is a bit of a breeze there. I don't know whether it kicked up, changed directions. We obviously can't feel it in here in the commentary box. Although
It looked good enough leaving the boat, didn't it? But yeah.
So I wonder whether the wind changed a little bit. It seemed a very considered shot.
Yeah, and they built it. They built that set too, haven't they?
They did, yeah. So for it to finish like that, it's surprising.
So 2 set points for the Korean team, even though they looked in a little bit of trouble at the halfway stage of that set, but that's the way these things go. So the Korean team settled in, and they lead by 2. That's a lovely shot there, just seeing the scope of the grandstands there. Plenty of people in this morning, making plenty of noise, which is great for these archers, isn't it? Because so often, particularly in qualification, you'll shoot and there'll be nobody there, and then...
That's right. Sometimes a lot of noise is easier to manage than a little bit of noise too, because it just becomes background white noise, whereas if you can hear individual people saying things, it can be quite distracting.
Sin movimiento arco.
7.
It's not happening for the Mexicans just now, is it?
And
It's
opening
wild.
the door a
Nada
bit, the
viento,
Koreans are
muy
going to
poco,
relax a bit, and if the
Fuerte
Mexicans
nada más.
aren't careful, the Koreans will
Nada más
run away
fuerte.
with this.
Poquito viento. 9.
8.
Team shooting really seems to be a sort of an emotional momentum event. You know, as the team feels good and feels like things are happening, it does seem to affect how you shoot. It's much more marked in the team round than the individuals.
Tranquilo. Fuerte.
And it can go the other way. You lose your way and things start
Bien.
falling to bits.
9.
Arriba.
And you get stressed, everybody's stressed. It makes it hard.
It's where the coach stood behind you comes in, isn't it?
Yes, and need to try and regroup people and G them up and get them to focus on the right things.
계속해줘야 돼.
No pasa nada.
So 10 from Kang. She'll shoot for individual gold later on
중심
this
잡고
afternoon.
끝까지
Here's
들어가.
Choi
길게.
Sun.
계속해줘. 계속.
Team gold medalist in Rio 2016 and mixed team gold in the World Championships as well in Odense
차분하게.
last year.
끝까지 해줘. 계속.
Vamos.
And there's Chang, 3 straight 10s for the Koreans.
You can even see it on their faces, they're starting to relax. There's some smiles on the Korean team now. They look very, very serious in the first 6 arrows, but you
Apunta.
can see they're starting to
Sin movimiento
feel in
arco.
their happy place.
Bien. 9. Todavía. Poquito a
9
las
better
3.
from Mexico. But that 7 and 8 there with
Todavía
the
un
first 2
poquito a las
arrows
3.
really hurting them, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Fuerte. Bien.
9. 9.
Bien.
So back in
Arriba,
the gold
todavía arriba.
for Mexico.
Mariana. 9, 8 arriba. 2 flechas. ¿Sí? Uy. Si hay tiempo. hay viento, nada más, concentra.
7.
And a 7 again
Mira.
from Aida Roman, as she did at the end of
7 arriba.
the first set, actually, and she's got the more match play experience, you would say, Roman, and she's playing that anchor role for the Mexican team. It's not quite paying off for her.
No, and that third spot in the rotation is often a difficult one because the time the team gets to shoot their 3 arrows starts to run out. So you know there can be not a lot of time left for the third person. And this is what happens when the Koreans relax.
시간 많아.
No pasa nada. Siguiente series.
차분하게. 끝까지.
Another 9 from Chang Hae-jin. And all those arrows just one on top of the other pretty much.
They'd be doing this day after day in practice. So, you know, the only time they don't do it is when they're feeling under pressure. So that's why it's so crucial to keep the pressure on them and let them run that right through. If you do that, then you've got a possibility of beating them. But let them do what they do day after day. You don't see them for dust.
To my eye, at least, there's a kind of uniformity of approach to the Korean team. You look at that grouping of those arrows, and actually, they're like carriages in a train, aren't they? And they're just following each other.
Their techniques. There's some small variations, but you know, the system in Korea is very much this is how we teach archery. This is the way you do it, and they have enough people going through their system that the ones that don't conform to that prescribed method are just weeded out. And because they have so many, you still get people coming through the other end that do that one system very well. And you don't see the same kind of consistency in method and form in the other countries. You just don't have the numbers to waste people.
So 4-0 the lead for Korea. So one more point will do it for them. So we're in that situation now in the third set where Mexico have to find something. They have to dig deep. They have to do what they've not been able to do so far in this match. Apply some pressure and kick off with some strong arrows. Valencia sends down the first, and that's not what they need. It's on the line between 7 and 8. It'll be upgraded to an 8, but Simon, it's not enough, is it?
It's not looking good.
Worried looking face actually from Aida Roman there, stood behind her teammate.
9.
It's quite torturous really when you're still in the match and you can see where it's heading and it's not where you want it to be. You've still got arrows to shoot, but in the back of your mind, you know, there's that little voice saying, I'm losing this.
Apunta fuerte.
The back of your mind is the worst place for an archer, isn't it? But at 10 from Roman, finding her form again, some smiles back on the Mexican faces. And you've got to say, they're shooting for a silver medal or a gold medal here, so they've had a fantastic week.
Absolutely, it's not going to be a terrible result, whatever happens, but can be disappointing too to have gone all the way through the weekend and having victories right up to this, and then you know, you wait for the finals day, a separate day of shooting, and then it doesn't happen. However, stranger things have happened.
17 for Korea. Chang now with her first arrow of this third set. She finds the gold again, but there is a chink of light for Mexico, a 1-point advantage. Can they make it count?
A few tens here would come as a welcome surprise, I think.
And out of the gold, too far away from the center to really hurt the Koreans. Deep breath from Avitia. And another 8. Slipping away from the Mexicans. They fought bravely, but just not found their rhythm.
It's just not quite that surety of movement in their shot making at the moment. Whereas if you look at the Koreans in the background, some very positive body language going on over there.
9.
Another 9 for Aida Roman, so that's 52 for
Arriba.
the set for Mexico.
Esperamos.
이렇게 들어와서 끊기지 않게 계속 해줘야 돼.
Remember, they must win this set. They're going to stay alive in the match, but a 10 for that arrow from Korea is putting them in a commanding position now.
길게
Todos grupo.
끝까지.
Choi Mi-sun, the Olympic champion, with an uncharacteristic 8, but another one of those will win the gold for Korea.
차분하게. 끝까지 해줘, 끝까지.
9.
And it is a 9, so the Korean team, stunning stuff from them, such a dominant force in world archery. Another gold on the World Cup circuit. The first of 5 medal matches today starts with gold as well. Chang Haijin, Choi Mi-sun and Kang Chae-young are victorious here. Alejandro Valencia from the Mexican team will get another shot at gold in the individual event this afternoon. For now, the Mexican team settled for silver, and it's gold all round for Korea.
세레머니 한번 해줘라.
And the official winner.
Simon, you don't see too many smiles amongst the Korean team while they're on the shooting line, do you? But they're looking pretty happy with their week's work.
They certainly are. Winners are winners, as they say. Really, the only time you see the smiles while they're shooting the match are either when they're way out in front or they've made a terrible mistake.
A rueful smile or a joyful smile.
Absolutely, a rueful smile. An embarrassed smile.
So that sets Korea up very nicely, actually, for the rest of the day. They've got this is the first of 5 medal matches that they're involved in. Chang Haijin, she'll shoot for individual bronze later on in her match, and that's the women's competition in the team event concluded, and we'll move on to the men shortly. Alejandro Valencia from the Mexican team also shoots again later on. We'll find out from you, Simon, in a bit whether you think she's set herself up nicely for that match. Perhaps, do you think it'd be important for her to get that out of the way?
Well, you know, having been on the field of play, you get rid of a few of those nerves that you would have to deal with if it was the first match of the day. So she might be feeling a bit calmer when she stepped up this afternoon. She's got 1 medal in the back pocket already, so you know, it's a good outing for the week. So she may relax and just go for broke, you know, this afternoon.
Now time for the men's teams. First up, a match to decide the bronze medal and a first look at the Korean men, the #1 team in the world and the #1 team here in Berlin this week, but it's bronze they're shooting for now, which just proves what we were saying before, that you can have a lot of class, but if you can't bring the form, then you won't always win. But the Korean men's team looking very, very solid, and 3 remarkable archers for you to watch here on the shooting line. Im Dong-hyung in the middle there, Kim Woo-jin on the end, and Oh Jin-hyek, the final archer of the men's Korean team, to take the applause of the crowd. And their opponents are the Russian Federation. The women came out and bagged themselves a bronze medal earlier on this morning. So can the Russian men do the same? We'll introduce you to them in just a second. Here we go, Alexander Baldanov, Alexander Kozin, and Artem Makonenko in the middle there, as their coach warms them up with a bit of applause of his own. they've seen how the women do it, and Simon, it's the turn of the men. And again, another one of those examples where the challengers of Russia are really going to have to put some early pressure on the Koreans.
Well, looking at the credentials of the Korean men, you'd wonder how they could ever lose. But here they are in a bronze match, so they've lost once. So stranger things could happen, and the Russians certainly won't be backward in pushing forward for a win. They're fighters through and through.
So the Koreans knocked out by France 5-1 in the, well, not knocked out, but defeated 5-1.
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive
by France in the semis, and you saw what the 5-1 looked like earlier on this morning in the Russian-British match for the women. So they've got something to prove here. And the first arrow is away, and it is 10.
자신 있게.
Eight.
8.9야, 8.9. 화이팅! 좋아, 좋아. 고. 됐어.
So respectable, 27, but
not as strong as you'd expect, but you know, disasters there.
날리진 않잖아. 날려.
so here's Kozhnin first up for the Russians.
9/5.
Something for people to watch at home. If you look at the archers when they release the arrow, watch how much their heads move at the moment the string comes off their fingers. Watching the three Koreans then, their heads were just about immobile, which suggests really good bow fitness.
9/5.
Bow weight to them is almost nothing. They're strong enough and fit enough to hold it without any effort, whereas when you see a bit of a jolt go through the body, the archer's using more effort.
Here's Artem Makenko.
Отлично,
And
10.
5-10. So there we are. A small advantage for Russia, as Kim Woo-jin takes aim.
9.
And his second arrow of this first set is a 9.
자신 있게.
Нормально работает просто.
Here's Im
9.
with a 9 of his own. Dialed in is a phrase I heard a lot in commentary yesterday, which everyone seems to like, and they're still dialing, aren't they?
Well, it would seem so,
시간 많아.
yeah. I don't know whether sometimes it's anything to do with the
20초,
equipment or just
20초.
mental focus.
Here's O
Nine.
and 9 for him. To 54 from a possible
조등이
60
만졌어?
for the Korean team. There's enough of an opening there for Russia to take it if they can.
There sure is.
9.
Kozhnin 2 9s with his first 2 arrows.
It is breezy out there, but I suspect where the archers are actually standing, they're probably not feeling it at all. So
They're pretty protected by the
yeah,
grandstand, aren't they?
They are.
9.
So the first set is there for the Russians if they want to take it. Magnenko with a 9, and he does. 55, 54. So the Russian Federation go into a 2-0 lead, and actually that's the first time we've seen a team on target number 2 lead in a match here this morning. So all the victories have come from target number 1, so difficult to see whether the one target versus the other has an advantage, which sometimes happens.
It does sometimes happen in these venues, the finals venues. You sometimes, with the little narrow shooting area, one side will get more wind than another, or perhaps have more sunlight on it than another. And only in hindsight do you see, everybody was winning on the left side or the right side.
Yeah, it won't mean much to the guys down there on the line right now, but sometimes it does go that way. It was very even yesterday, and I think the conditions probably levelled everyone up because it was kind of underwater at points.
Yeah.
But I felt for the crowd a little bit, but there was some great support yesterday.
I was around at one of the vendors' tents earlier yesterday, and they were doing a roaring trade on rain ponchos.
Yeah, they ran out of umbrellas, I heard, but not so much today, I don't think. So Korea behind in the match. Not a place they're accustomed to, but it won't faze them.
10. 좋아, 좋아.
And a 10.
좋아.
Very nice shot.
Kim Woo-jin,
자신 있게.
his second of the match, is Im Dong-hyun.
10.
And a 10
좋아.
for him.
자신 있게, 자신 있게.
Oh Jin-yek yet to find the 10 himself, but it won't be long.
Наш пацан.
좋아, 좋아.
9.
괜찮아.
So 29 points for North Korea. And that's what they needed to do, just to answer the Russians a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's more like what you'd expect from the Koreans as a team. Bit of movement there.
Порыв себе это
Looks
сделал.
like he's straining a tiny bit.
8 на 8.
Lifted in the shot. Well done
9
with
на
a
10.
9.
Центральная девятка.
And here's Artem Makhnenko, the highest ranked archer in the Russian team, well behind all of the
7.
Korean archers.
Seven
And a 7 for him, which he won't be happy with, but he's going to have quite a busy day because as well as this match he'll be shooting for individual bronze later on against Crispin Duenas of Canada. That should be an interesting match at 2:20 this afternoon.
10. 엑스.
Dead centre for Kim Woo-jin. All 9s and 10s for Korea now. Another one. Now, what price? A 10 for Mr. O here. There it is. 58 for Korea, and they've hauled themselves back into the match. That was 6 super arrows, wasn't it, Simon?
They were certainly nice to watch. Although it was certainly, his last shot, he was moving around a bit more than I expected. If you watch the bow, it was sort of wobbling back and forwards. These guys be feeling a bit pressured now, I guess. A bit
Yeah,
of desperation slipping in.
7 from Makhnenko with his first arrow of this set really proved to be the difference. He makes up for it there with a 10, but they couldn't claw back that gap really, and the match is all square now. At the halfway stage, it's 2 set points each between the Russian Federation on target number 2 and the Korean team there, who you can see stood on target number 1, and they had probably a little word with themselves, didn't they, at the end of the first
bit of advice from the coach as well. Come on, guys, you need to focus.
Großbritannien und Deutschland geschlagen und im Halbfinale Frankreich besiegt und
I told him
deshalb
he had his plane tickets in his pocket. They might get ripped up.
Make your own way home, boys.
Yeah. Now into it.
It's interesting that the bronze medal psychology, isn't it? Because you can, even though you don't win the tournament, you you finish the tournament with a win, and you take your spot on the podium, and that fourth place name kind of gets forgotten, doesn't it?
It does, yes. It's not much fun being fourth. And it's quite often that the bronze medal match is a better match than the gold medal match. You know, people have sort of got up to the point where they were almost in the gold medal match, lost, and they've regrouped and come out knowing the things they did wrong when they lost their previous match, and really go for it. And that can be often a very well contested pairing.
Another 10 for Korea.
짱구.
Im Dong-hyun with a 9.
아, 아깝다.
And a 7 from, oh, you don't see too many of those actually. The crowd know it too. There was a little
Yes, they were.
puff of the cheeks from the crowd. So 26 for Korea. And a 9 is the kind of arrow that you want if you're the Russian Federation right now in this situation.
Actually, he's had a couple of events where he's in the team round shot 7s. Quite unusually for him, and it's cost them quite dearly.
8-9-9.
I can't see that from here, but I think that's going to be I think that might stay an 8. I think.
Yeah, so.
So a 10's what's called for here. Here's Koznin. The Russians look like they played with the order of their shooters a little bit. He was leading off for them. So 7 for him. Korea narrowly ahead in this set by 2. Here's Kim Woo-jin, the only of one of the 3 Korean archers who we'll see again later on. He shoots for gold in the individual event right at the end of the day. And a 10 there for O. And here is O, in fact. Just 1 10 in the match so far, and that's a 9 for him. So 54. So, gosh, that's the pressure on Russia, isn't it? They need 3 10s, don't they, to halve this set. Otherwise, it's a 4-2 lead for Korea.
9.
Only a 9. Is this match slipping away from the Russian Federation here? Too early to say that?
You'd suspect it has slipped away, but it's not over yet.
Koznin, strong arrow for a 9. So 50 for the Russian Federation, but now a 4-2 lead for Im Dong-hyun, Kim Woo-jin and Oh Jin-hyek. So 5 points takes the match. So Korea have 4 of them already. So the next set, absolutely crucial. It's the last regulation set we have. So if we can't find, if the Russian Federation can win that set, they'll tie it up at 4-all, and we'll have a shoot-off, which would be excellent to see, which is a very dramatic thing to watch. But they can't do any worse than that. Even a draw in this last set will be enough for Korea to take the match. And they've come from behind, actually, Simon, haven't they? I mean, they were down in the first set, 2-zip, and they've just got stronger and stronger.
The Russians did the right thing. They got out in front, put the pressure on Korea, but they needed to just maintain it for a little longer. longer through the middle of the match, so that, the Korea continued having a shoot from behind, but they let them slip back to the front and off they go.
So they qualified in first place here, the Korean team, and the Russians qualified in 7th, so a bit of a tougher route to the final for them, or to this bronze medal match for them. Needed a shoot-off to get past Italy in the 1-8 round, then beat the USA 6-0 in the quarters, and then lost to the Netherlands in the semis, which is why they find themselves here in this bronze medal match. Can they take a medal though? A 9 with their first arrow. Baldanov with an 8. Not really found his rhythm at all match, has he?
No, I mean, he did the right thing, I think, in shooting aggressively, not waiting too long, get the arrow into the air, but just not smooth enough. Whereas his body hardly moved, head stayed still, good timing, aim through the shot.
Magnenko there, you just saw, is shooting again later for bronze in the individual event, so he'll be wanting to make all of these arrows count just to settle himself in.
7 for Korea, so
спокойно, работать надо,
괜찮아.
Kim Woo-jin ranked #1 in the world individually, so even the world #1's capable of 7s every now and again. 10 there for him. So O now needs a 10 to keep the Koreans level. He's not found too many of them in this match so far, so it's not a foregone conclusion by any means.
좋아.
I'm going to give up this commentary laugh, I think.
한 발.
We'll just talk about what happened in the last end each end.
Like weather forecasting.
Yeah, that's right.
Девять на 7.
9 for Russia. They need the 9s and the 10s to keep the pressure on and stay alive in this match.
잘했어, 괜찮아, 우진아. 니도 사람인데 이놈아.
And he is Kozhnin, somewhat the more consistent. Taking a long time finding the 9.
Got away with an iffy shot there.
In this team event, there's a balance, isn't there? Getting the shot you want versus leaving enough time for your teammates to take the shot that they want.
Absolutely. Hold on, and there's the temptation to let down and start the shot over, but then it leaves your teammate with no time. So
55 for the Russians, not quite enough, I would say, especially with the 10s going in for Korea.
Eight,
9 liner. I think that'll be a 9. Yeah. So
모르겠다, 안 보인다 이쪽 상황에서는.
now,
a 10 to win.
is O going to shoot one of his 7s?
자신 있게 우지. 9 확률이 많아. 9.
That's a 9 for Korea, and where we are now, we're looking at 4 set points each, but that penultimate arrow for Korea was right on the line between 8 and 9, and if that's upgraded, then we will have a victory for Korea. If it's not, then we're all tied up and we're into a shoot-off.
So no pressure on this judge now with his magnifying glass.
He may well take 2 or 3 goes at measuring that one just to decide the destination. So Falco telling us there that that's a 9 and it's good. Archery, just one of those sports that balances the ancient and the modern so well. The ancient stance of the archer and all of that fine line 21st secondary technology to tell us the story.
All the eyes on the judge.
And it is confirmed by the judge at the target face. He indicates it's victory for Korea. They take the bronze medal. They've come through against the Russian Federation. Bronze in Berlin for Im Dong-hyun, Kim Woo-jin and Oh Jin-yek. Such a powerful trio of archers. And they were just a little bit too strong for the Russians today. Artem Makhnenko gets another shot at a medal later today in the individual events, as will some of the Koreans. But right now, they're celebrating the bronze team medal. Congratulations to Korea.
Congratulations.
So Simon, an enjoyable match there.
Well, it
Lots
was
to
great.
watch.
Yeah, it was a lot closer than you might have thought it was going to be at some points. It's amazing how much the match can swing back and forwards just with a few shots.
So you've been in these kinds of situations many times, and I wonder what you take away from a match like that if you're Korea, and what you take away from that match if you're the Russians.
Well, I suspect that the Korean coach would be looking at their performance and focusing on perhaps their lack of commitment on some of the shots, or lack of smoothness, or just their clarity of thinking. You know, I'm sure he won't be happy with it having been that close. Certainly not how they would have been shooting in practice before coming here. They won it, so they'll be not too upset. But in terms of preparing for the next match, they'll be looking at what was different between this and practice. Whereas the Russians, you know, I guess they'll be on one hand thinking, well, we nearly got there.
Yeah.
But
so they couldn't quite emulate the women's team earlier on, who did bag a bronze. But that's, you know, two finals or two team finals for the Russian archers, and then an individual bronze medal match for one of the men later. That represents a decent weekend, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think if you were going back to your home country and talking to your sports commission and talking about the results, and I think most countries would be pretty happy with that. I mean, you always would like to take it the next step, but you know, that's a pretty solid outing for a country.
So our final match of the morning session. It's quick fire stuff here in World Archery. The matches come thick and fast, one after the other. And so here we are in an all-European affair between two nations who've always been strong in global archery. Number 3 and 4 ranked teams here this week. And approaching the shooting line to get us underway are the trio from France. Thomas Giraud in the middle there. The junior partner in that 3, Pierre Plion, and a former world #1 and an Olympic silver medalist himself, Jean-Charles Valadon, in the French team, ranked number 8 in the world this year. And their opponents in the well-known orange of the Netherlands, 3 archers who you'll know well, Simon, or one of them at least, and we'll talk about that in a little while. All of them in sun hats. Not the kind of gear you needed yesterday, but today, much brighter.
Well, keeping the rain out of their eyes maybe yesterday, but it's pretty sunny out there now.
Yeah, lovely, lovely conditions for everyone concerned. We're stuck in a tent at the back, sadly, but we'll take that. It was better yesterday. So ranked number 12 in the world, Rick van den Erve there, waving to the crowd in the blue hat. Steve Weiler, and then in the middle, Chef van den Berg.
Steve Weiler being interesting in the fact that he won his very first World Cup event when he his first outing as a national team member at the World Cups, and won it, which is just about unheard of. And we were talking to him the other day, talking about the disappointment of losing an early round. He says, I don't know, I've never done that.
Ah, the confidence of the young. And Weiler, the one of the athletes locked in for the grand finals in Rome. We'll talk about that very shortly in a minute as well. We'll go through that lineup. All the places already decided, so unusually for a World Cup stage, actually nothing to play for in terms of the World Cup standings, because all of those spots are decided, but that means it's the medals that count here this morning.
Ja, goed jongen.
Off we go with the 10 from the Netherlands.
Laat de rugspanning aan, blijf bewegen.
A few nerves there, I think. Shaky hand on the draw.
9,9 linkerpoten. Kom jong.
Still a 9.
Yep,
Mannen Steve. Sterk en soepel hè.
You'd make quite a demanding coach, I reckon.
Not so popular, maybe.
9,0 hoog op de rand.
So 28 open up for the Netherlands. So here's France with Plion.
Ouais, super Pierre.
Open up with the 10 as well.
Allez, ensemble.
So that's given Thomas Giraud a little platform to build on.
9.
So Valedon already with an opportunity for France.
Allez, j'y
A
sais.
10, which he's well capable of.
Ensemble.
Will get their noses very slightly in front.
Let op de klok hè.
8.
Rayo. Druk en balans.
Yeah, I think he probably made that noise as well.
I think so.
Netherlands, a point ahead.
Allez, j'y sais. Hein.
Goed jongen, Ek.
Another 10.
Allez, j'y sais.
Rayo.
Two
Laat de
10s to
rugspanning.
open up for
Blijf
Van den
bewegen.
Over. Here he is.
Yeah, we were talking about that time pressure. You wanted to
Zeven
let that
rechtsom.
down and you couldn't.
Ik heb
Allez,
tijd
faut
om af
se
te
nourrir de
zetten
ça,
hè.
les gars.
Volgende.
Ouais, un tout petit peu.
Stond even stil hè.
Reste bien sur l'avant.
Ja, eventjes een momentje en toen kwam je verder door. Dat is niet goed. Maar ja, nou, opgelost. De 9 linkshoog.
Ridgely with the 9. 54
Bien dans
for the
l'appui.
Netherlands.
Et sur le rail.
Probably not quite enough, you feel, to take this first set.
C'est
So
ça.
France perhaps with an advantage, but they've still got to shoot the arrows.
Niks aan de hand. hè.
Plion a 10 with his first. An 8 there though.
Allez, chichi. Et jusqu'au bout, tu l'accompagnes.
Thomas Giraud
Ouais.
with the 9.
2 un petit peu bas, bien tiré, chichi.
Allez,
j'y sais.
Jouw schoten mogen sowieso vlotten. Ja, toen jij hem toen die klikte was er 36 seconden vlot.
Allez, bien préparé.
Dus ja. Nou ja.
Et jusqu'au bout.
France need a 10 to level
Tu l'accompagnes.
set.
Daar nooit in de
And they get it. Right into the last 10 seconds of the shot clock as well. Stylish.
Bah
Stylish
là, ça
indeed,
n'a pas
brother.
bougé sur cette arc.
We have both
Yeah, les
teams.
gars.
54.
So 54 points for each team with their first set, 6 arrows, which means that set is shared, and for a shared set you get 1 point. The set system, not something you really encountered as an archer yourself in competitions, was it? We've evolved to that stage. What do you make of that?
Comme ils étaient short en temps, du coup,
Yeah, I don't know. I've never shot in it, so I mean, what it does allow is a competitor to have one disaster, maybe even two, but in the next set come back and shoot well and win that set. Whereas previously, when it was an aggregate score with only 12 arrows each, one bad shot and the match was over. Really, unless you're hoping, you just hope that your opponent might also have a mistake like that. But if they didn't, that was it.
And we got a prime example of that in this first set. Actually, you got the 7 there with the penultimate arrow for the Netherlands, which would really hurt you in a cumulative score, wouldn't it? But and it may still prove to be decisive, but that's a shared set, so no one's got away from anyone else as a result.
That's right.
Druk en balans, hè.
Just a little slow on that shot for Chef.
Okay. Yeah. All right, James.
It's Van den Erve. 9 and 7 for his first 2 arrows. Another 9 for him.
Sterk en soepel doorbewegen, hè.
Ja.
9,6.
For Steve Ridgler, 26.
On respire.
Ja, links. Links op hoogte.
Simple. Et on envoie sur le rail jusqu'au bout. Ouais. C'est bon, Pierre.
An 8 to begin with France. I don't know whether I'm imagining this, but the demeanour of the 2 sets of teams is really reflecting with the crowd as well. It's got a little bit more hushed. People realise it's the last match of the morning. There's a gold medal at stake. You can feel it, can't you?
Yeah, I think so. Everybody's, it's all even at the moment, so everybody's thinking, oh, this is our chance, but not being able to capitalise at the moment.
Respire.
9.
For Valadon, so France with a 1-point advantage. Little conversation between the 3 team members as Van den Berg takes aim.
Ja, goed jongen.
And he finds the 10.
Doe maar. Mario.
What will have got him to that
Die druk.
10 after a couple of arrows where he didn't
Sterk schot.
find that maximum?
Oh, I think that third shot that he did was just a little slow. Perhaps he, wasn't focused quite properly in his mind, so it took a little longer to get through the shot. A little bit of a wobble, not as clean off of the fingers, whereas that one was a lot better. Chef shoots a very heavy bow too. It's one of the heavier bows on the circuit.
9,2
Ridgler doing that action of pulling the bow away very dramatically, perhaps hoping to influence the shot.
Overtrokken. Goed jongen.
Et on serre jusqu'au bout.
55 for the Netherlands.
Propre.
8.
8 for France.
Allez, Chichi.
Means the best they can do now is to tie up this set again, but they'll need 2 10s to do it.
Oh, deze wil ik zien.
Giro found the 10 with his last arrow.
Avec le regard.
9.
9 this time.
Allez, JC. Encore un petit poil bas, Chichi.
So Valadon knows whatever this arrow is, his team will go in behind at the halfway stage.
Ouais, super, JC.
And 10 for him, right on the buzzer. 2 fist bumps all round, but it is the Netherlands who are into the lead, 3-1. So this is one of those scenarios where they win the next set and the match and the gold medal belong to them, so it can get away from you very quickly, even though we are in the set system.
Exactly, blink and you've missed it.
In the second part of this second set. 3-1 lead for the Netherlands on the way to this gold medal in Berlin at the Anhalt.
Sometimes, these matches don't last very long, and the competitors, if they're feeling under pressure and it's a bit intense, they can get to the end of the match and hardly remember any of the shots they made. It doesn't last very long, and it's overwhelming. And so people say, so that 5th arrow you shot, I don't remember it. I can't remember the 4th one. I can't remember the 2nd one. And then other times you remember everything about it.
Yeah. So some noise from the crowd to get this 3rd set underway. And France now shooting first as they are behind, knowing that they need to pull something out here, and Thomas Giraud begins for them, and a brilliant 10 from him. Exactly what the French team needed. Pliant now, number 2 in the order. They've mixed it up a little.
Ouais, là, Pierre, c'est
that,
ça.
right on top of Giraud's arrow.
Pierrot. C'est ça, là. Allez, jusqu'au bout, JC.
Baladon's arrow is away, and it's loose by his standards, and an 29 points still. 28 points, I beg your pardon, for France.
$9.5, längst
Décalé, hein, pour ça. Reste bien dessus, elle était bien tirée, mais
Ryo,
jusqu'au bout, jusqu'au bout.
op die rug, blijf bewegen.
Brandon Hervé would love a 10 here.
Wow, 9.8 längst.
To 9.
Goede schot.
So Wijler
Druk erop. Soepel.
has some work to do. A 10's necessary for the Netherlands to stay level in the middle of this third set. Only an 8 for him. And another exclamation from the crowd, and a tut to my right.
Ging dat weg? Middenweg. Dus het
So
allemaal
it's a
links.
2-point game here in favour of France.
Ouais, bien tiré.
10 for Giraud. Is it maybe an advantage now if you're shooting first and your first 3 arrows have allowed you a little gap?
Yeah, I think it's you know, at the moment it's the lower team shoots first. I mean, the trailing team shoots first in the end. But in the previous system we had, when it was just an aggregate score and you had 4 lots of 3 arrows, you always tried to be the second archer to shoot first, or like put your opponent first, which would mean they also had to shoot the last arrows.
Ouais,
So
super.
put a lot of pressure on them. So if you're given a choice, you'd always go second.
Et ben voilà. Là, ça construit.
The going first seems to be paying off for France here. 57 for them, so they'll level the match up.
Ja, goed jongens.
C'est bien, Pierre. Pas de jugement. Là, c'est vraiment factuel sur ce que tu as à
With that,
faire.
is he looking a bit more settled now?
Yeah, I think so. He'd be happy with his shots, I think.
Et même si ça bouge un peu, tu sais que si t'envoies et que tu restes dessus. Exactement. Mais décide-le avant.
It's the only appearance for the men from the Netherlands in the finals today. So
9.2.
they'll want to make this one count. See if they can come away with the gold.
Yeah.
But it will be 3 set points each after this arrow from Wijler.
Ja, goede hoogte 10.
10 hits, 55 points for the Netherlands, 57 for France. So it is 3 set points each. The first team to 5 wins the match. So we've got, in effect, a sort of 6 arrow shoot-off now, haven't we, between the teams. The slate's sort of wiped clean. We've got one last set to shoot, and whoever wins it wins the match. And the goal. Yeah.
French team look like they've got a little more momentum in terms of their attitudes and how they're feeling now. A little bit subdued at the beginning, a bit quiet.
Yeah, slow start to this match in terms of the crowd reaction, but you can see it now. Everyone's getting involved, aren't they? Did you like the crowds when you shot?
It's a good question. A lot of times there's not much in the way of crowds in the earlier parts of the round, so if you don't get to the finals, you never experience it. But when you get to the finals, then suddenly there's this new thing, the crowd to deal with, and certainly at an Olympic level. I think. When I won my gold in Sydney, the crowd was fabulous.
And on your side too.
And on my side. It was pretty one-sided.
Net erbuiten, linkshoud. Goeie 9.
So a 9 for the Dutch team to get them underway in this final set. It's going to be the team who can keep the arrows in the goal that takes this one, you feel.
Yeah, holding their nerves.
9.6. Rechts op hoogte. 9.6, rechts op hoogte.
Well, clear focus. Sometimes you can be feeling terrible in yourself in terms of shakiness and nerves and so on, but if your mind is very clear about what you're doing, the adrenaline and so on can make all the difference.
Ja, is goed.
10 for Wiesler.
Bien sur ta ligne. Active jusqu'au bout.
Thomas Shiro, he shot it well, shot bravely this morning. And another 9 for him.
Allez Pierre. Bien dans l'appui. Et on serre jusqu'au bout.
A couple of 10s here would take the match
Et on l'accompagne,
into a
solide.
French advantage.
Ouais, c'est bon Pierre.
It's a 9.
Bien.
So Valadon finding himself in a familiar position in this match, knowing that it's a 10 really that's required.
Allez JC. Actif. Et tu l'accompagnes longtemps, longtemps jusqu'au bout. Ouais, c'est ça.
He comes up with it.
Bien tiré JC, dans le timing, nickel.
He's an Olympic silver medalist himself, and you can see that that match play situation doesn't
Very
faze him.
experienced competitor.
Net erbuiten, links 9.9.
As Van den Berg, particularly on this World Cup circuit.
Mayo. Tempo.
A 9 for him. Another 9 for the Netherlands. So possible 56.
Sterk en soepel.
Wiesler a 10 with his last arrow and another 10. It's 56 enough, Simon.
He puts them in the game. He puts them in the game, that's for sure.
Et la volonté jusqu'au bout.
So the French will try and eat
dessus.
away at this lead
Ouais,
now.
super.
10 from Shiro. He's been very impressive this morning, very
Super, Chichi.
calm and
Allez Pierre,
collected.
ensemble. Bien dans l'appui et ça serre jusqu'au bout. On fait l'effort. Allez, longtemps, 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 longtemps. Yes! C'est ça.
You would have to assume there was some good focus going on and some adrenaline helping that one along.
So here we go, a 9 to win. And 10 seconds left to do it for Jean-Charles Valadon. Can he?
Yes!
Oh, it's a 9. The winners are France. They beat Australia in the warm-up round, and Japan 6-2 in the quarterfinals, turfed out the world #1's Korea in the semis, and they take a gold medal here in the sunshine in Berlin. It's victory in Berlin for Thomas Shiro, Pierre Pliant and Jean-Charles Valadon. That wraps up this morning's session. We'll have the medal ceremonies and the national anthems very shortly, and the Netherlands will take their place in second position on the podium, and a silver medal for them. And that, genuinely, I think, Simon, pretty much the most exciting match of the morning.
That was a cracker match, yeah. Nothing like having a match go right to the end, and with some good shooting in the last end to really keep everybody on the edge of their seats. Marc Dellenbach, the French coach, will be very happy.
Vous voulez pas me faire plus plaisir, les gars.
So he's a coach you know well. What assistance will he have provided to those guys to keep them focused? Because they went in, they were behind for a lot of the match. They were having to cope with a lot of pressure.
Yeah, he's a coach that I really like his coaching style. He's one of those coaches that is like a consultative coach. You know, he sits with his archers and talks to them and gets them to talk about how they are going, what they need to do. I know he has team meetings with his individual athletes every night, after dinner, and really monitors what they're doing, but not in a dictatorial way. It's a collaborative approach, which I think is, certainly for Western archers, I think is a really good way to go.
Yeah, very different to the approach that you described from Korea.
That's
actually.
right. Yeah.
And proof, I suppose, that there's not a one-size-fits-all.
There's not a one-sided in any way. Other than that truth being of, you need that connection through your back tension as the arrow's leaving your fingers, and you need to be aiming through the shot. Other than that, there's so many different ways to do this game that, to say this is the one way, I think is just plain wrong.
Presumably as well, an archer's physiognomy will dictate how it's best for them to set themselves up, isn't it?
Yeah, and their personality too, I think, so it makes it difficult for a coach in the sense that they have to deal with each athlete on a completely individual basis and really tailor how they support the athlete based on that one athlete. So, if you've got one coach and 6 athletes at a given event, they've got their work cut out for them to manage everybody fully for each person's approach.
So the medal ceremony's coming up. It will be the Recurve's women's team joining us back on the field of play to receive their medals. And it will be Vladimir Esheyev, the World Archery Executive Board member, who will be presenting the medals.
Vladimir was a world champion back in 1987 in my hometown of Adelaide.
So he'll be very pleased to hang the medals around the bronze medal winners. And Gerhard Fernier is the German Shooting Sports and Archery Federation Vice President, and he'll be presenting the gifts. And first up, we'll see the bronze medal, which will be presented to the Russian Federation. And they were just too strong, weren't they, for the British team in the end?
They were.
Here they go, all on the podium together. Tatiana Biltrikova gets her medal first of all, then in the middle there, Natalia Erdenieva. And finally, Sasiana Sigampilova. Bronze medal for the Russian Federation. Good weekend for the Russian team.
I think they'll go home happy. So those medals.
Chunky old things, aren't they?
They're enormous.
Where do you sit on the round or square debate for medals?
It's a good question. I studied jewellery design as my career of choice, and so things that are a bit outside of the norm generally appeal to me. But I went through the Olympic Museum in Lausanne last week and saw their display again of all of the medals through all the Olympics from beginning to end. And I am still a bit of a fan of the smaller, small, elegant round medals. But having said that, some of the Winter Olympics ones were anything but that, and they were pretty cool.
For the Mexicans who are getting their silver medal here, Mariana Vitia, Aida Roman and Alejandro Valencia, doesn't matter really what size or shape, it's still a silver, and they've earned it. Absolutely. Right. Did you get a bear or a fluffy toy of any kind in Sydney? Do you remember? Kangaroo, maybe?
Yes, I think it was a stuffed kangaroo, like a little toy kangaroo, and a rather large bunch of flowers.
So our gold medalists here at stage 4 of the Hyundai Archery World Cup in Berlin. The archers from the Republic of Korea. Chang Hai-chin, Choi Mi-sun there in the middle. The hats are an issue.
Yes, the hats, yeah.
And Kang Chae-young
hats and ponytails are something to navigate when you're presenting those medals.
But uniformly popular.
Certainly for this team.
So congratulations to the Republic of Korea, Chang Hae-jin, Choi Mi-sun and Kang Cha-young. Almost more pleased with the Bears.
Yes, I think so.
Great smiles from them. They're so serious, aren't they? They're quite introspective in the way that they appear on the shooting line, the Koreans, but you know they're real people inside and they feel, they feel it.
They have such a good game face that it's easy to forget that they're just as human as anyone, and that win or lose, they feel that emotion pretty strongly. You know,
and their anthem will mean just as much to them as any other country.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
So warm applause from the crowd gathered here for all three teams who finished up their week's work with medals around their necks. And we'll see Korea back again in the second match of the afternoon session in the mixed team event. A new addition, of course, to the Olympic roster for Tokyo 2020, which is, speaking to people around the venue yesterday and today, is regarded as progress. I think seeing any sport where you can see men and women competing equally on the shooting line has got to be a good thing.
yes, I think it's, yeah, as you say, it's pretty popular. It also makes it a lot easier for countries that only have you know, one good man and one good woman shooter. You know, it's pretty rare you get three really good men or women in one team. Korea being the exception because they've got so many. But for a lot of countries, the team event's really difficult. So to be able to just have to supply two shooters puts them in the game. So suddenly you have a lot more countries in the mix.
And actually, you know, this is commentary that we're doing, not prediction, but you look at Japan, home advantage, and the strength of their female and male recurve archers. They probably got enough to put together quite a strong challenge actually for a medal.
Quite possibly, and there's that thing where it's very common for the home country to have, in archery's history, to have come up with a medalist, a gold medal. So whether it be in the teams or the individuals. So it's only been, I think, one Olympics in recent times that hasn't happened. So I think you know, you'd have to be expecting that something could happen for Japan with a mixed team event. It really does make a big difference having the crowd and the infrastructure on your side, I think. If you're open to the positivity of that, yeah, it can really affect your whole.
Yeah, if you allow it to help you.
If you allow it to, yeah. I know in Sydney I made a conscious decision at some point during the event to just look at everything positively. You know, I've often fallen into the trap of being a glass half empty kind of a guy, and I made a real effort to say everything that isn't negative here is positive, and to acknowledge it, and it really makes a difference. And the crowd. And even just the people on the gates and the guy that's driving the bus and everything, it all adds to it if you're looking for it. So,
So
we have the medal ceremony now for the recurve men's team, and the medals will be presented by Tom Dealin, the World Archery Secretary General. Stood next to him there from the host city here of Berlin, German Shooting Sports and Archery Federation President Hans-Heinrich von Schurfels.
Hans-Heinrich von Schurfels.
They've done a cracking job here this week, the German organisers. People I've been speaking to really enjoyed the event, very well organised, and actually the volunteers, a critical part of any archery event, wherever you go, always a smile on their face, working like dogs the whole week. A huge thank you to all of the volunteer workforce who made it all possible. But Berlin will be back definitely on this World Cup circuit because it's been a brilliant week.
Spectacular venues. I mean, the ranking rounds out at the Olympic Stadium, and what a fabulous Olympic stadium that is. And now here in town with this almost a purpose-built, you'd think, venue for archery.
So Kim Woo-jin, Im Dong-hyun and Oh Jin-hyek are 3 bronze medalists here for Korea.
Who also seem to like the bears.
Yeah, and why not? And why not?
Die Silbermedaille für die Niederlande.
Maybe they're with you and they prefer the round-shaped medals.
That's right.
So here are the Dutch team. A brave effort for them, a narrow defeat to the French team, and silver medals are their reward. Steve Weiler there with his silver medal, and he's one of the 2 archers from the Netherlands, along with Chef van den Berg, who's going to the World Cup finals in Rome, and we'll come on to that lineup in a little while. But handshakes and bears. The bears, by the way, are a symbol of Berlin. That's why they're getting bears.
Didn't recognise those particular bears compared to the normal symbol, but it's not quite as ferocious as the normal.
No. And 3 guys there who have earned their gold medal and their top spot on the podium, representing France. Thomas Giraud there. Pierre Pliant. And one of the stars of our sport, Jean-Charles Valadon, with a handshake and a gold medal to add to his collection. And it will be the Marseillaise that we stand and listen to in a moment's time to acknowledge the victory of the French team to complete the morning session of action here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of France.
Meine Damen und Herren, bitte erheben Sie sich für die Nationalhymne von Frankreich.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to our athletes.
Meine Damen und Herren,
Congratulations to France, stage 4 team gold medalists here in Berlin. No team event in the Rome end of season final for the World Cup, just individuals and mixed teams. So an important victory for these archers to finish off their World Cup season.
Yeah, a very positive end of the year.
Absolutely. Jean-Charles Valadon, they will go to Rome as France's representative and highest qualifier in the individual competition. So just to give you that lineup, the Recurve men's competition in Rome at the grand finals on the 2nd of September will feature Kim Woo-jin and Im Dong-hyun of Korea, who you saw there taking bronze. Brady Ellison of the USA, Steve Weiler of the Netherlands, Chef van den Berg of the Netherlands, and then Jean-Charles Valadon, France, and Wei Chun-Kien of Chinese Taipei. And that's quite a lineup, Simon, isn't it? That'll be fascinating.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching those events.
So that's about it for the time being here in Berlin. We'll leave you with some of the enduring images of the morning's competition as all the matches are done. Glory for Korea in the women's team event and for France in the men's team. Do join us again this afternoon when we'll have the mixed team and the individual matches. More from Korea as well as matches featuring Japan, Turkey, Mexico, Russia and Canada. Thank you for joining Simon Fairweather and me this morning. Simon, thanks for your insight. I've really enjoyed having you along. You've been watching live coverage of the 2017 Hyundai Archery World Cup, Stage 4 in Berlin, Germany. Thank you to viewers watching online across the world at World Archery TV and on the Olympic Channel and on NBC2. The action continues at 1 p.m. local time for the mixed teams and individual matches. Do join us then if you can. But for now, from me, it's bye-bye.
Wow.